Hi, I'm the chef and owner of Wicked Carib Restaurant in Scarborough. We've been serving the community at large in Scarborough for many years and across the GTA. And I know for sure you've enjoyed our meals at some of your favorite sporting events in the city, whether it's basketball, hockey, football, soccer, or baseball. Right now, we're taking it up a notch when it comes to giving back to the community. We're so excited to say that we've partnered up with Penny Appeal Canada to feed the world while we're feeding you. With every purchase of our top-selling curry chicken meal, proceeds from each meal will generously go to orphans around the world. So grab your favorite curry chicken meal here in Scarborough or
right here at every game.
Your small change always makes a big difference.
Ulitupatia maji mingi aje?
Last year, with you, more than 400 wells alone have been dug by Penny Appeal Canada. 2,400 households benefit directly from our solar water plants. More than 900,000 children now have access to clean, nourishing, life-sustaining water. With your help, we distributed over 14,000 kilograms of food. That's a total of 40,000 meals across 2 continents in 5 affected areas. Ramadan last year, from you, orphans received a lot. From new clothes to new books, to love, to a sense of meaning and purpose, and most importantly, a sense of belonging. This Ramadan, Penny Appeal Canada will serve again with impact, with love, with hope. Because at Penny Appeal Canada, we believe with you, we can.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's your man Mark Strong here from Penny Appeal Canada, and we want to welcome everybody once again to our Ramadan in the Caribbean segment, where we get an opportunity to not only speak to the imams who are Caribbean descent here in the city of Toronto or across Canada, but we're also reaching out to those internationally in the Caribbean diaspora as well too, whether it be imams or scholars, teachers. We want to just get the full embodiment of what it's like to be a Caribbean person during Ramadan. As a Muslim, as you know, we're all celebrating now and participating in the blessed month of Ramadan. We have an opportunity now to speak to the Imam the Muslim chaplain at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus out in Barbados, one and only Imam Suliman. How are you, brother?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for making some time out for us today. Barbados is beautiful. I have met plenty of Bajan friends that are Muslim as well too. And I did not realize how many Muslims there are in Barbados. Could you give us a quick number synopsis of what the ratio is of Muslims in Barbados?
Yeah, so the Muslim community in Barbados is about 1% of the population. So we have a population of around 280,000 persons. So we're about 1% of the population. So about 2,800, 3,000 Muslims on the island. Alhamdulillah, and we are a well-established community here.
SubhanAllah. Can you share your personal journey with us so we can get to know you a little bit? What inspired you to pursue the path of Islam? Are you a revert to Islam? Were you born into the religion? Give us a little background on yourself.
So I was born into the deen. I was born in the late 60s in Barbados. My dad migrated from India back in the 50s. My mom was born here, but her dad was also from India. So I'm a Barbadian, born and bred, and I grew up here. I went to school here, primary and secondary, high school. And it was while I was in high school that I had the opportunity to interact at a Muslim gathering here in Barbados of Muslims from across the Caribbean. And that really drove me to learn a lot more about my deen. I did grow up as a Muslim. I went to the masjid from young. We also have maktab madrasa here that I was attending. But having that interaction with the brothers from across the region helped to solidify my deen and my Islam. And from there, I just grew into it. And I really had a passion for doing more for our faith. And as I left high school, I went on to University of the West Indies to pursue a degree in management. And it was while at the university that I got the opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia, to Riyadh in particular, to King Saud University to pursue a diploma in Arabic language. So I spent 2 years there in Riyadh. It was a really wonderful experience. I was a young person, very young, around 18. But it was a really great experience to be in Saudi Arabia among Muslims from all walks of life, from all backgrounds. And spending 2 years there really strengthened me a lot and strengthened my foundation. And on return to Barbados, I completed my degree here, management, and then went into the world of work. But I've been involved in the work of Islam from that time onwards. Alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity to work with a number of brothers across the region that has done a lot of work in building Islam in this part of the world. And I worked with the Barbados Muslim Association, where I was secretary for the last 23 years. I came down from that post about a year or 2 years ago. So alhamdulillah, it's been a good journey.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Since you talked about it, I guess going at 18 to Saudi Arabia. I mean, that was probably what, 10 years ago? You look about 28, 30 years old.
You're so hospitable on that.
Hey, I'm
that was
fasting.
in the 80s.
I'm fasting, so I guess I'm just getting all of my niceties out right now.
Mashallah.
So speaking of fasting, tell us what Ramadan is like in Barbados. We do have specific things that all Muslims practice and cultures and whatnot, but there are also different nuances that I'm sure that are different in Barbados that would be not only in different to different islands, but obviously different to also North America. So what's it like in Ramadan in Barbados?
So the Barbadian experience for Muslims, first of all, let me unpack that. So first of all, most of the Muslims in Barbados would have migrated from India originally. So as I told you, my dad came from India, and the earliest Muslim that we know recorded came in 1910, and he actually came from Bengal. And then the Gujaratis came. So most of the Muslims are Gujarati. So they came in the 1930s and onwards. Obviously, before all of this, we are now researching the presence of Muslims among the enslaved in Barbados. And there is evidence that among the enslaved who came to Barbados, who were brought forcibly to Barbados as enslaved, were Muslim. A number of them were Muslim. So we are now trying to research that some more and bring out more of that. A lot of work has been done for Jamaica and Trinidad and Guyana in this regard, but not too much for Barbados. So you've had that, we're finding now. But obviously that was lost. You can keep your faith, and the enslaved lost their faith throughout the years. So the earliest Muslims were from India that we know about. And so the Muslim community here is predominantly of Gujarati origin, but we also have a number of Barbadians, Afro-Barbadians, who have come into the deen as well. So you have that as well. So the experience of Ramadan is seen through the cultural lens of the East Indian Gujarati experience to a great extent. And so we do have our masajids. Alhamdulillah, we have over 7 places of worship now. We have 4 main ones, and then we have some smaller ones. And alhamdulillah, within the masajids, we have strong emphasis on Hifz al-Quran. So we have in Barbados, for a small community, we have over 100 persons who have memorized the Quran, and that continues as a continuous thing. So in each of the masjids, we have the Taraweeh, where the Quran is read every night for the 29, 30 nights of Ramadan. We have that happening. So every night a portion is read, and the Quran is completed by 27th, 28th, 9th night, and so on. And so that's so the masajids are full, and the other places. So we have smaller musallas where Muslims pray as well. As I said, we have the iftars are held in some of the masjids. They have an iftar every night, which people will sponsor. So Muslims will come out and have the iftar there. But also among families, we have the iftar happening where families will get together. Some on weekends, some every day, some depending on the nature of things. So we have the iftar. And what we have also done among some of us, we have invited our neighbors and our friends who are not Muslims to come and join us for iftar. That is a great dawah. That's a great way of calling people and also showing what our character is in Ramadan. In fact, we have had some Christian priests who have joined us as well for iftar at times. And so that helps build relationships. So Ramadan is a really wonderful experience for us here in Barbados. We are now seeing a lot more persons in the community, not necessarily Muslims, understanding what is Ramadan and asking questions. What we have done over the years is to put messages in the newspapers, for example, in the media on Ramadan. What is Ramadan about? What are Muslims doing at this time of the year? What is the month all about? And so that has helped to create an atmosphere that says people are welcoming. So they say, "Are you fasting? You know, I'm not going to eat in front of you," for example. You know, and they say, "Hey, do you want to take a rest?" You know, that kind of thing. So we have that among the community here where people understand that Muslims are fasting and they welcome you and they give you ease and comfort in what you're doing. So it's a great experience here. If we're in the Caribbean, our hours are not like you guys. Sometimes I know in summer your hours are really, really long.
Really long.
Our hours just go from maybe maximum 14 hours a day to sometimes down to about 12 hours a day. So yeah, it's throughout the year. So I mean, and while it's hot, it's not as crazy hot, you know, not like the Middle East. So it's cool, and you can go to the beach, man, and sit down and relax. Right?
That's true. Just don't drink any of the salt water because you're trying to fast. So I understand that.
Right.
But
I mean,
you know,
sometimes we even break fast on the beach as well. So subhanallah, it's a beautiful experience.
myself, growing up as from a Grenadian background, myself, I know what it's like to be in the Caribbean, but I've never spent a Ramadan. Actually, no, I take that back. I did fast once in Ramadan, in Grenada, but it's funny, inshallah. But the iftars are around similar times. Sometimes them roosters crow a little too early for my suhoor time. I want to get a little bit more sleep for Fajr. You know what I mean? So I can imagine what that's like as well too, because that's probably one of the nuances as well that people don't really think of. But everything you just explained seems to be very relative and very much the same as we would in North America, only it's transplanted into the Caribbean. But it has absolutely different, I guess, roots and different connections, yet in a similar fashion. That being said as well too, can you tell us a little bit about, you spoke about interfaith interactions. Have there been any misconceptions about Muslims in Barbados, for example, or maybe even if you could tell us what it's like to deal with the dialogue of having to either justify or be accepted or find yourself receiving any type of governmental help as a Muslim community in a non-Muslim country?
So early in our history, when Muslims first came and up to maybe the 70s and the 80s, there was that perception that Islam was an Indian religion. And that was there predominantly because most of the Muslims were Indian, right? And so Barbadians, the average Barbadians, felt that Islam was an Indian religion. They didn't link it necessarily with it being a universal faith. And so over a period of time, we needed to correct that. So that's one of the things that we concentrated on in our writings, in our speaking, and so on, that Islam is not an Indian religion. What changed that a lot, what helped change that was the news. When you start to see now Muslims from all over and things happening across the globe, and you're seeing Muslims in Africa and so on, that also helped say, well, you know, it's not only Indians that are Muslims. So that was one of the things that we had to deal with. And then as more Afro-Barbadians became Muslim, that also helped. But they also faced a challenge because when they, in the early days, especially when they became Muslim and came into Islam, their families would say, "Oh, you become an Indian now." You know, so you had that. You know, you become like those Indian people, right? So you know, that was happening then. So, but alhamdulillah, a lot of that has changed. That perception has gone. So then, what happened then was the other things that started to creep in was because of the Western news medias. So you get then Islam being associated with terrorism, you know, fanaticism, and so that then started to creep. But we didn't have that in a major way, but we did have some of it, and so we had to then deal with that. You know, is Islam? What is Islam? What does it really mean? And so we had to unpack that and deal with that. But alhamdulillah, Barbadians generally are very welcoming, as you know, Caribbean people are, and we have had really a great time here in Barbados to practice our faith. We have had no issues from governments, regardless of which party is in power. We've always had a very welcoming, hospitable environment. And I think a lot of that also stems from what our forefathers did when they first came. So when our forefathers, Muslims, first came to Barbados, the business that they entered into was what we call the itinerant trade. So they went from house to house selling, and they sold primarily to the poor Barbadians on credit, goods that they could not afford to buy cash. And that developed really great goodwill among the people towards Muslims. Obviously, at that time, as I said, they saw them as East Indians and they necessarily looking at the faith, but they were Muslims. And that continues to this day. So you'll see a lot of older people, especially, but A lot of politicians, teachers will tell you, I was not well off when I was young, but your people helped my mom to send me to school, to send me to learn, to send me, because she could not afford the school uniform, for example, and it was on credit, you generous terms, and you just paid whenever you can. So that goodwill was created here, and that goodwill remains to today. And alhamdulillah, we have done a lot of good work in our communities. We have given a lot of charity. And so that has done well. And the government and the people, we have a really great relationship. Some challenges with our sisters in wearing the hijab over the years. They did not allow for the hijab in photographs for passports and ID cards.
Really?
But government, when they first came in 2018, just after that, they made sure that they changed that. And our sisters, we were actually joined with the Rastafarian community on this issue because women were also having that problem. They had to take off their scarves. And we joined with them. And that was a great coming together to lobby government to say, this is not international standards. You need to recognize that our women have rights and they can wear the hijab and the women can wear the scarf. So that was changed, and alhamdulillah, we don't have that problem anymore. So generally, we have really had a good opportunity to practice our faith here. No hindrances at all.
Alhamdulillah. If you're just tuning in, we are speaking to Imam Suliman, who is from Barbados, in this our segment of Ramadan in the Caribbean. Very interesting. A couple of notes that you just mentioned there. The polarization between both Indian and Afro Barbadians as well too. And that happens, as you know, within all parts of any religion or the world. There's always some sort of mirroring of the two cultures or the two races or the two backgrounds. And so it's interesting to hear that you're able to sort of get through that through Islam and the hijab and Rastafarian fairs that to hold their hair. That's an interesting concept that I had never known. It took a little while to obviously, liberate our women in Barbados, our sisters. Alhamdulillah. That's also amazing to hear. Can you tell us a little bit more about, let's say, the youth in Barbados? We do know that when it comes to youth around the world, sometimes it's hard to keep them focused. Sometimes they find themselves with addressing different challenges, like being 1% of a community or of a culture. You have all different influences outside of you. How do you find yourself and other Muslims, imams and scholars and teachers and leaders? How do you find the best way to deal with identity crises and exposure to different globalization?
So I mean, one of the things that our community did from early on when they came to Barbados was to establish the masjids and the madrasas. So the madrasas helped in building that foundation for the young people. So from 4 years old, you're going after school every evening to learn how to read the Quran, to learn how to pray, to learn how the different aspects of Islam. That helped give a foundation to young people. And I think over the years, that has continued to help have a foundation among the young people to say, this is my deen, I'm seasoned in my deen, and I have something to anchor me. As I get older, I may tend to stray a bit, and you're seeing that. I mean, that's normal, right? That you will have some people who will stray away from things. Because of the anchor, because of that affiliation to the masjid and affiliation to family, that has helped to bring back a lot of people who may have gone astray a bit in the younger, youthful days, and they tend to come back as they go. But we do have challenges, not free from challenges. We do have, but alhamdulillah, we have a community that pretty much the families will get together and try to help each other in terms of dealing with those young people who may fall into some issue. So we still have that, but we do have challenges, and it's the challenges obviously differ, and change over time. Technology is one of those, social media, all of those challenges are there. We have to constantly retool ourselves to be better prepared for those challenges. And I think we need to do a lot more of that as teachers, as imams, as scholars. We need to understand the society that we live in and what are the trends. Sometimes we don't do a good enough job because we tend to live in a bubble. We tend to think that the whole world is ideal and it's beautiful and it's great, but we tend to leave out those who are not necessarily in that bubble. And so sometimes we have to move out of the bubble to go to those people and where they're at, meet them where they're at, and try to work with them. And I think that that's one of the challenges that we have to also overcome. How do we move from that ideal situation that we know it should be to saying, okay, how do I get myself to be able to, for these individuals to have some sort of confidence in me that I'm there for them, and so that's also presenting a challenge for us.
Speaking of, it's a great moment to segue into the Ummah supporting the Ummah in different ways and in different factions. And I think it's a great opportunity to just quickly speak on, as we see the Palestine flag in the back.
Yes.
I'd like to speak a little bit on what I recently saw, which kind of went viral on social media, is I believe that you can let me know more. I believe it was a madrasa. Was it a school, an Islamic school where?
School, yes.
So there's a school that was receiving, I believe, a Palestinian
ambassador,
a delegate. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came about? Because that's incredible.
Sure. So one of the things in the Caribbean, the state of Palestine was not recognized by all the Caribbean countries for many, many years. So you had some that from early on, as long as 15 years ago, like Guyana, for example, would have recognized the state of Palestine. The other countries then were slow in coming on to recognize. You had other countries that over the years have come on. Barbados was one of the few that did not recognize Palestine for many, many years. And we have been advocating for that as a Muslim community, but also as a wider community that had a number of people from different faiths, no faiths, coming together to advocate for Palestine. And we've been doing that for over 10 years, advocating for Barbados to establish relations with Palestine. Last year, April, we got the announcement, the Minister of Foreign Affairs announced that they are establishing ties with the state of Palestine and that they will establish diplomatic relations. So within the last couple of weeks, the ambassador who is assigned to all of the Caribbean territories, she was given her opportunity to come and present her credentials. So we were there with her. So she presented her credentials to our president and she became the bona fide Palestinian ambassador. While here, we got her she visited the Muslim school. We have a Muslim school for primary and secondary. And it was a really great reception for her at the school. And I think that's probably the video that you saw where she came and the children were gathered singing Free Palestine. And she was really overwhelmed by it because we have instilled in our young people here, our Muslims, that you have to have your heart there. You have to advocate for Palestine. And alhamdulillah, we've had some really great rallies here in Barbados. Even people who are not Muslim have come out and said and stood with us on the issue of Palestine. You have to have those who are pro-Israel, otherwise, but that is expected. But we stand for Palestine. We stand for what's happening, and now our government has relations with the state of Palestine.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I have to say that Honorable Mia Motley and in Grenada as well too, different islands. Yet, though they think us very small, our voice counts and our voice matters and our movement matters. And I do appreciate the efforts of Barbados and Grenada and Trinidad and different places that have respectfully stood for Palestine and has put a lot on the line as well too to do that. But
all CARICOM countries now recognize the state of Palestine.
Correct.
And all of them now recognize the state of Palestine. It was actually mentioned at the last CARICOM heads of government meeting here in Barbados a week ago. Secretary General of CARICOM announced all that all the CARICOM countries now recognize the state of Palestine. So it's really a great good thing for us. We're really excited about that. We hope that it can go further now.
Alhamdulillah. What is your vision for the future of Islam in Barbados? And what are some of the steps needed to achieve it? Because as a development and relief organization as Penny Appeal Canada, we like to also reach out to those countries and those places and find out the little things that we may not know that we can help out with. So let us know as Penny Appeal, or it's just anybody listening right now, how we can help and what your vision for the future of Barbados is.
Alhamdulillah, we in Barbados have had a very good, solid foundation built by our forefathers. We have had, they've concentrated on building the masjids, the madrasas, the necessary infrastructure for Islam to grow in our country. We also recognize that we needed to go out into the communities and to work with the community. And we need to do a lot more of that. We need to be working with our community, our country, our nation, to build a nation as a whole, not just the Muslim community, but the nation as a whole. How do we contribute to developing the country? And that is what we want to do a lot more of. In terms of charities like yourselves, I think what happens for us is that we are very vulnerable. We are vulnerable within the climate change situation, stronger hurricanes, tsunamis, some islands have volcanoes, earthquakes, and so on. I think when natural disasters like that happen to us, we definitely need outside assistance. It's not something that we can do on our own to help rebuild. And so that's where I think charities like yourself can come in and say to us, look, we are there, we are ready to move in as something happens. And alhamdulillah, over the years, that has happened. We have not had a major calamity in Barbados per se, but in the other islands like Grenada, as you know, a year ago, I think it was, the Grenadines, we have had relief organizations come in and provide relief. Even the state of Palestine has done that. They've come in and brought relief and doctors in. Imagine that. They need the help and they're coming to help us. And that's what governments recognize in this region, that they're coming to help. So we just had a contingent of 10 doctors pass through from Palestinian doctors doing free surgeries in St. Vincent. We're hoping to repeat that here in Barbados. So calamities, when they do happen, we need your help. We need your support because we don't have the resources to necessarily respond to major calamities. So those are things that you can start thinking about, inshallah, that we can have that kind of collaboration. We work a lot with those in poverty. Our Zakat fund, we have a Zakat fund, helps those in poverty and in need. We help feed the homeless through agencies that do that. So there is work going on, and wherever you think you can assist will be greatly appreciated. One of the other things that we are working on within this region is that we want to encourage Muslims that are traveling to come to the region. Muslims are traveling. There's halal tourism happening. Right. This is a pet subject of mine. Bring halal tourism to Barbados. Look at it. Bring it here. We have the infrastructure. Don't worry. You know, a lot of people think Barbados was for alcohol and right. No, we have the other part that we can show you. We have the heritage. We have the Islamic culture. We have the environment. We have a welcoming environment. Come and experience Barbados. Come and experience the Caribbean. Even in Ramadan. This month of Ramadan, come and experience the Caribbean. Yeah,
right after we finish fasting. You know, it's funny. I fully appreciate that rhetoric because we definitely need to have more halal options within the Caribbean. Not that there isn't any, but we just need more accessibility to it because I can only take so much flying fish. I want some meat. We
do have it. We have a major halal chicken supplier now in Barbados. It's selling in all the supermarkets. And so it's readily available now, mashallah. We have restaurants and halal places.
That's good. Speaking of flying fish, the last thing I want to ask you here, since we are in the month of Ramadan, your favorite suhoor and your favorite iftar. What's the favorite? What do you start with, and what do you break with?
Well, I'm a health advocate, so I tend to in Ramadan especially, I tend to stay away from a lot of things that I know I should stay away from all the time. But yeah, I'm a health advocate. Unfortunately, a lot of our community isn't. Right. And you see that dangerous trend. Iftars where you're overeating or you're eating a lot of the wrong stuff. And I'm pushing, let's not do that. Let's continue to think healthy. Ramadan is a time for that as well, spiritual nourishment as well as physical nourishment. So let's not get carried away. But in Barbados, we have, mashallah, we have the local cuisine that we bring in the Indian cuisine as well. Right. Come together, but we look for our dates. Our dates are still very important, so we bring those in. We make sure we get those from wherever we can. We have our dates there, but we have our fruits. We have our local fruits and vegetables and so on. And well, meat is always part of it.
But we're still doing kuku though. We're doing kuku and this.
We do kuku. Yes. Some Muslims will do kuku. Yes, some flying fish. We don't get the flying fish like before. The Trinidadians took that away.
Is that right? Well, we want to thank you very much once again, Muslim chaplain at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus in Barbados, Imam Suliman. We thank you for taking this time today to speak to our audience, and we hope to continue to do some more collaborations, some more talking, some more building, some more growing with the people of Barbados and Muslim Ummah in Barbados, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Ramadan Mubarak to everyone.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Ulitupatia maji mingi aje.
Last year, with you, More than 400 wells alone have been dug by Penny Appeal Canada. 2,400 households benefit directly from our solar water plants. More than 900,000 children now have access to clean, nourishing, life-sustaining water.
يا ترجعوا تبعتوا لنا أكل مثل هالمرة؟
With your help, we distributed over 14,000 kilograms of food. That's a total of 40,000 meals across 2 continents in 5 affected areas. Ramadan last year, from you, orphans received a lot. From new clothes to new books, to love, to a sense of meaning and purpose, and most importantly, a sense of belonging. This Ramadan, Penny Appeal Canada will serve again with impact, with love, with hope. Because at Penny Appeal Canada, we believe with you, we can.
Hi, I'm the chef and owner of Wicked Carib Restaurant in Scarborough. We've been serving the community at large in Scarborough for many years and across the GTA. And I know for sure you've enjoyed our meals at some of your favorite sporting events in the city, whether it's basketball, hockey, football, soccer, or baseball. Right now, we're taking it up a notch when it comes to giving back to the community. We're so excited to say that we partnered up with Penny Appeal Canada to feed the world while we're feeding you. With every purchase of our top-selling curry chicken meal, proceeds from each meal will generously go to orphans around the world. So grab your favorite curry chicken meal here in Scarborough or
right here at every game.
Your small change always makes a big difference.